What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and we got a lot to talk about on today's show because Justin Jefferson said what? He was talking about Jeff Okudah, and this quote will have you guys absolutely fired up about him potentially being a breakout candidate for the Vikings this upcoming season. And also, Brian Flores, could an extension be coming? And then we also do have an update around the Jordan Addison suspension. But before we dive into it, it's actually Justin Jefferson's birthday today. He is turning 26 years old. So type those 18s down below in the comments section. Show him some love. 26 years old. I am still shocked he is already 26. I don't know what it is. I feel like he, still a 23, 24-year-old, but the dude's hitting the prime of his career, the prime of his athletic career, to be specific. So if you guys want to show him some love, type those 18s down below in the comments section. All right, so Justin Jefferson, what do you have to say on Jeff Okudah? This quote was awesome. It was coming after a mandatory minicamp practice this past week, and he was just talking about his game and where he thinks he could make an impact on this Vikings roster. And this is what Jefferson had to say on Okudah, saying he has that speed and he has that ability to really play make and just be that annoying cornerback. That's what I like to call those types of corners, annoying cornerbacks, because they know how to be physical, they know how to get you off your route and not be able to have free access. And, hearing that quote, that makes a ton of sense coming from Justin Jefferson because, listen, there's no cornerback in the league who can guard this man one-on-one. But we have seen Jefferson struggle in certain spots against physical corners. Like, remember when the Green Bay Packers with Jair Alexander, when they used to have a, formidable secondary over there, but they used to jam him on the line, get super, super physical. We even saw that Week 18 versus Detroit Lions. They kind of took a page out of that playbook. So hearing Jefferson talk about Okudah being one of those annoying physical cornerbacks, like that's the type of corner that did give Jefferson problems so far in his NFL career. But, if Okudah were to, let's just say have a massive breakout year. Now, this guy was a third overall pick for a reason. The natural talent is there. The athletic ability is there. He is one of the better athletes in the National Football League. But let's just say he ends up popping. And you have a cornerback room of Murphy, Rogers, Mekhi Blackman, Jeff Okudah, Dwight McGlothern, even a guy like Zamia Vaughn, who has been great during minicamp. Like, you're feeling better about that group than you previously had. And, this is a low-risk and an extremely high-reward contract for the Vikings. Like, you didn't give Okudah like a 2-3 year deal. You just gave him a 1-year, $2.35 million contract, and only 1.17 of that was guaranteed. So even if it is terrible, even if he gets out there and he gives up 200 yards, 2 touchdowns in his only game played, it was a low-risk move because if he does end up popping, I'll tell you what, that would be massive for this group. And we could see him being one of the young cornerbacks of this defense for the near future. Now, I think his best year came back in 2022. Now, he has extremely struggled. Like, this is a guy who has struggled to stay healthy, but also when he has been healthy, he hasn't really been producing not nearly as much as we thought he was going to be, being that third overall pick out of Ohio State. But he did allow 2 touchdowns in that season, but still he was pretty solid. He had an interception, 5 PBUs, and, the potential is there. And, I'm looking at these 3 guys specifically in terms of 3 cornerbacks that need to step up. You got Jeff Okudah, Mekhi Blackman, and Isaiah Rodgers. Now, I think Mekhi Blackman, I think he'll have a pretty solid season for the Vikes. Obviously, Brian Flores is very, very high on him, but one guy that Flores is extremely high on is Isaiah Rodgers. And Kevin O'Connell's talked about this, how Flores, sought him out during the whole free agency process, was like, that's the guy we need on this football team. So between Okudah, Blackman, Rodgers, you are just banking that 2 of these guys can become every down starters for this football team and that they can produce at a high level because that is still the biggest question mark on this Vikings roster. I think it is a loaded 53-man unit, but if you just kind of had to nitpick it a little bit, that cornerback 2 and cornerback 3 spot, still some question marks around there. But hey, if Okudah ends up stepping up, or Blackman, or Rodgers, we're all feeling a whole lot better about this cornerback room. But you guys let me know, what is your confidence level in this cornerback room? Scale it for me, 1 to 10 down below in the comments section. I'm probably at about a 6.5, 7 right now. But hey, if one of these guys ends up popping, we're feeling a whole lot better. But you guys weigh in for me. What is your confidence level in the Vikings cornerback room? Now, coming up next on the show, I do want to talk to you guys about Brian Flores. Could an extension be coming? And, really, how many more years do we have of Brian Flores being the defensive coordinator here for the Vikes? We'll break that down here in a second. I want to tell you guys about a new product we have here at Vikings Now by Chat Sports, and that is Factor Form. And if you guys head over to factor75.com/VikingsChat, you guys will get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. Now, I have tried green supplements in the past, and I swore I would never try them again. But then I tried Factor Form's Daily Greens, and it has completely changed my life. Now, most of us dread drinking greens, but Factor Form changed the game. You actually crave your greens. As a sister brand to Factor Meals, Factor Form was designed to work hand in hand with your meals, making better nutrition efforts. Daily Greens is a greens powder provided by Factor Form you look forward to drinking. Just one scoop delivers 100% of your daily nutrients, filling nutrient gaps, supporting whole body health, and helping you feel your best. With a refreshing, citrusy, clean, and smooth taste that's actually enjoyable to drink, mix a single serve pack in water and you're good to go. Daily Greens by Factor Form is made from real vegetables, packed with a whole serving of kale and spinach without tasting like it. In a blind taste test, Daily Greens ranked #1 in taste, texture, and aroma, beating out the biggest names in the industry. Factor Form's Daily Greens is packed with prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to help support gut health and reduce bloating. It's everything your body needs without megadoses, added sugar, or artificial fillers, just whole food ingredients that work, so much so that 88% of users experience improved digestion and gut health. So start your day right with Daily Greens by Factor Form at factor75.com/VikingsChat to get 40% off plus free shipping on your first order. That's factor75.com/VikingsChat for 40% off plus free shipping. Factor75.com/VikingsChat. Alrighty, let's talk about it. Brian Flores, could an extension be coming for, in my opinion, the best defensive coordinator in the National Football League? Now, I hope it is. I hope this extension gets done. Maybe give him more incentive to stay in Minnesota because we know this guy, his name's going to be in the next head coaching cycle a whole lot. And we are getting new reports after the Vikings did extend Wes Phillips, offensive coordinator. Many people in the organization believe that Brian Flores could be next. Now, I don't think there is any downside to extending Flo. Like, obviously this guy deserves it. He deserves to get paid. I would toss him $6-7 million, just remain the defensive coordinator. That's something that's not on the books. That's something that's coming straight down from ownership. But even if the Vikings do extend Flores, which I think will probably happen, I have a feeling he's going to be gone after this season. I hate saying it, I wish he could be the defensive coordinator for the Vikes for the next 20 years, mainly just because I love watching his style of football. It is so unique. Like, every single time the Vikings defense is out there, like, it could be a new wrinkle. It could be a new play. Like, he is such a creative mind. And, also hearing other NFL players and specifically quarterbacks talk about going against Brian Flores, how it is just that chess match and it can cause you to overthink and it just slows down your processing side of the game. Like, he will probably end up getting another chance to be a head coach because the Vikings defense will also be elite this season. The one thing that they struggled with last year was able to get interior pressure. So what did they do? You just go get Hargrave. You go get Jonathan Allen. I have a very strong feeling the Vikings might be one of the better teams in terms of sack percentage with only sending 4 guys. Because if you do have Hargrave, Allen, and it's like Dallas Turner, Grenard, and maybe Van Ginkel is dropping back in the coverage, like those 4 getting to the quarterback, if one of those guys is one-on-one, you're probably banking on them winning that one-on-one matchup. So I say you extend Flores, but even if you do so, I think he'll probably end up getting a head coaching job this next season. And that's just because I think this defense is going to be star-studded, and it's going to be one of the best units in the league. But if you guys want the Vikes to extend Flores, give me a me down below in the comments section. All right, let's talk about Jordan Addison here. We do have an update on when his court date will be set. This is coming in from Ben Gessling. He was just reporting, the latest he's hearing around Jordan Addison. And this is what he had to say, saying a jury trial setting conference is scheduled for Monday for Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison's case in Los Angeles. Addison has pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor DUI charges stemming from a July 12th arrest when he was found asleep at the wheel near LAX. Now, we're assuming this was a weed-related DUI. This wasn't alcohol-related. At least the early reports were suggesting that being the case. But I still think, even if, because, listen, the NFL can handle this in a different way compared to how the court is going to handle this. Like, even if the court finds him completely innocent, the NFL or the Vikings could step in and still deliver a suspension. So I'm just going to be prepared, and I think all of us Vikings fans should be prepared that we'll probably get an update maybe early August on the suspension. I would be prepared for it to be a 1 to 3 game suspension for Jordan Addison. Maybe he gets, off and it's no games, which would be fantastic. But I do think since this is also his second time having an incident behind the wheel, probably going to give him a 1 to 3 game suspension. But the Vikings wide receiver room, and this all this credit goes to Keenan Cardell. I even if the Vikings would have to miss Jefferson for a game or two, I still think this wide receiver group will be able to produce, and I think they'll be just fine without Jordan Addison. You got a guy like Jalen Naylor, Rondell Moore, Ty Felton could have to step up. It's not like there's a huge drop off after Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. And honestly, the Vikings kind of caught a break early on in the season. It's not like they have a ton of tough games. In Chicago, would I love to have Jordan Addison, considering the Bears do have a top-end corner like Jalen Johnson that they can just stick on Jefferson, throw safety help over the top, and try to take him out of the game. Now, we also saw that in Chicago last year. Jefferson had 2 receptions for 17 yards, but what did Addison do? He went 1 for 150. Hawkinson went for 125 in that game. So this could be a massive TJ Hawkinson stretch. It also could be a guy like Rondell Moore, Ty Felton, the new look Jalen Naylor rocking #1, added about 10 pounds of muscle. But let's just say he is suspended for all 3 games. Doesn't really change what I think the Vikings record should be after those first 3. I think they should be 2-1. If they're 1-2, I'd be a little concerned. But I think 3-0 is on the table, even without Jordan Addison. And then maybe he'll be back for the Dublin and London games in week 4 and 5. But we appreciate all of you guys tuning in to today's show. And if you guys made it to the end, just hit me with a skull down below in the comment section. Make it look like US Bank Stadium on game day. Shout out to all of you guys for watching. If you guys have any more questions around your Minnesota Vikings, hit me up on Twitter. That's a handle right there, @PatSieps. Link for that, comment section, and description of today's show. We'll see you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes.